There comes a time in a person's life where they watch a film for the first time, not really knowing anything about it or having any real interest in watching it. It's one of those situations where your mate or your partner wants you to come along because they want you to watch this film with them, but it does the total opposite and makes you say out loud, where has this film been all my life? And that happened recently. If you follow him on Instagram, last month or so, I went and saw Terry Gilliam in the flesh, and he was introducing his film Brazil and did a Q&A, that sort of thing. It was my first time ever seeing the movie, and I just wanted to see Gilliam in the flesh, I just wanted to be there because he's one of the Pythons, he's done some fantastic work. But Brazil just blew me the fuck away, and it blew me away so much that I've watched the film 5 times now. It's got a Tetsuo effect on me. I really want to talk about this movie to you, and it's very difficult because I don't want to spoil it, but also I don't really want to pretend that I know what I'm talking about, because this film has been talked about and dissected to hell and back, and it's been compared to George Orwell's 1984, but sod it, we're going to do it anyway. Here we go. Brazil focuses on Sam Lowry, a bureaucrat who works for the Ministry of Information, a totalitarian regime that has control over a retro-modern Britain, somewhere in the 20th century. It's a place that promotes consumerism and industrialism to the extreme, facelifts included. Sam unfortunately ends up dealing with an error made by the Ministry, that error being a bug that falls into a turd printer which deals with practically anything related to banking, wrongfully debiting the bank account of Archibald Buttle, mistaking him with the terrorist Archibald Tuttle. An easy mistake to make, I wouldn't put it by them, an easy mistake to make. Buttle is taken in for questioning, which ends up in a torturous interrogation resulting in his death. Buttle's neighbour Jill witnesses the arrest and tries to report it herself, but it doesn't go very far. There's tons and tons of, scrutiny and paperwork to be filled out, wrong paperwork, right paperwork. It's basically a big pain in the ass. So it's up to Sam to find her and sort the issue out by going higher in the cutthroat bureaucratic environment to try and resolve this issue. The story goes on different dreamlike tangents, and that are pretty cool, but are likely symbolic to Lowry because really he wants to escape the grim life as a crony for this bleak existence he has, and where any outward thought on society is automatically questioned or shut down, being only safe to dream or think freely in his own head. I absolutely love the look of Brazil. The technology is made to look practical and do most of the work for you, but it ends up being a massive pain in the ass because it's old-fashioned, like a tease made. I can't believe I just mentioned a tease made in a YouTube video. To me, it's the case where it's not necessarily futuristic, but if the idea of the future was conceptualized in the 50s maybe, and didn't evolve from there, that kind of vibe to it. On the surface though, Brazil is a quirky dystopian sci-fi with a brilliant cast and premise, yet the more times I watch it and dissect it in my spare time, it turns really into a sci-fi nightmare. Speaking of a brilliant cast though, Brazil is absolutely stacked full of UK and American talent. Jonathan Pryce is very animated and cartoonish as the timid Sam Lowry. Michael Palin is fantastic as Sam Lowry's old friend Jack Lint, who works for the Ministry also. I found him really to be cold and calm and calculated. His job is really to be one of the interrogators for the Ministry, and even when being presented with the wrong person, he still carries out his duty as a torturer, which pleases the Ministry, but it's very, very disturbing. And who can't forget Bob Hoskins, Ian Holm, and the great Robert De Niro. Yeah, Robert De Niro's in this as well. And to be honest with you, I didn't even recognise him at first with the moustache on. He's fantastic as Tuttle. He's a freelance plumber, I suppose, that goes in and out of jobs and is on the run from the Ministry. Just fantastic. Fantastic. And now it's time for a mandatory history lesson. Whilst doing some research for this video, I came across some articles and interviews where apparently Gilliam had a constant back and forth with Universal Studios, who wanted to cut the film because they wanted to give it a happy ending. Gilliam, being Gilliam, presumably said fuck that to the executives and demanded the ending that he saw fit. It apparently got so bad with Universal and Gilliam's scraps that, well, Universal put off releasing it when it was ready for the public. For some stupid reason, I know. So Gilliam, being Gilliam again, took out a full-page advertisement in Variety magazine addressed to I can't even say his last name. It was addressed to Sid Sheinberg, one of the CEOs of Universal at the time. Simply put, "Dear Sid Sheinberg, when are you going to release my film, Brazil?" Man, like, Gilliam was a total badass. What the fuck? However, it did eventually get released in 1985, and to surprise, Brazil did not make a huge splash when it hit the cinemas. Some critics complained that it was hard to follow, and referring to the topic of dystopia as portrayed as the psychedelic 1960s, which is complete bollocks in my opinion. It didn't break even at the box office, but it did gradually become a cult classic, which it rightfully deserves, thanks to, you know, physical media, VHS, that sort of thing. And it's also free to watch online, but you didn't hear that from me, alright? I would absolutely recommend this film to anyone who doesn't just love Terry Gilliam's work, but the work of the Pythons, and just somebody who loves cinema in general. It's rebellious, poignant, and dreamlike, yes, but it also pokes fun at society, and scarily, it's still quite relevant today. So yeah, go and watch Brazil. It's unforgettable. Do it.